Every civilization leaves behind stories. Stories that outlive empires. Stories that inspire generations. Stories that continue to echo across thousands of years. Welcome to ANUVIN Stories, where history, mythology, and timeless legends come alive through cinematic storytelling. There was a time when even the gods feared the name of one king. Across the ocean stood Lanka, a kingdom of immense wealth and power. Its cities rose above the sea. Its harbors welcomed ships from distant lands. Its halls reflected the strength of a civilization feared across the worlds. And upon its throne sat Ravana, king of Lanka, scholar, warrior, conqueror, a ruler of extraordinary knowledge and immense power. But Ravana had not been born invincible. Long before his power reached its height, he performed severe austerities. Through burning days, violent rains, cold nights, and passing seasons, Ravana remained unmoved. His body weakened, his determination did not. At last, his austerities gained the favor of Brahma. When Brahma appeared before him, Ravana sought protection from the beings he believed powerful enough to threaten him. Devas, Danavas, Yakshas, Rakshasas, the great powers of the worlds. But there was one creature Ravana did not consider worthy of his concern. Human beings. To Ravana they were fragile, mortal, insignificant. And so, in his confidence, he left open the one path through which his end could come. As Ravana's power grew, so did the shadow it cast across the world. Sacred rites were disturbed. Sages were threatened. Those who lived beyond Lanka began to feel the weight of a king whose strength seemed impossible to challenge. The gods gathered before Brahma, but Ravana's protection could not simply be ignored. The boon he had earned had consequences, and within those very conditions lay the answer. The assembly turned to Vishnu. Ravana had protected himself against the powers he feared, but he had dismissed humanity. And so, the force that would one day confront the king of Lanka would enter the world in the form Ravana had considered beneath him. Not as an overwhelming celestial warrior, not as a terrible supernatural being, but as a man. Far from the dark shores of Lanka, another kingdom was awakening. On the banks of the Sarayu River stood Ayodhya, capital of Kosala, prosperous, disciplined, secure. Its streets were filled with merchants, craftsmen, soldiers, and families. Its people lived under the rule of King Dasharatha. Dasharatha was an experienced warrior and a respected king. His kingdom was strong, his court was stable, his people honored him. To those who watched their king pass through the streets of Ayodhya, Dasharatha appeared to possess everything a ruler could desire. But behind the palace doors, the king carried a fear few of his subjects could see. Dasharatha had no son. No prince stood ready to inherit the throne. No heir waited to continue his line. He had three queens, Kausalya, Kaikeyi, and Sumitra. Yet the royal household remained without a son. As the years passed, the question became harder for Dasharatha to ignore. What would happen to Ayodhya when he was gone? The king turned to his advisors and to the sacred traditions of his world. Under the guidance of the sages, preparations began for a great sacrifice. Shringa presided over the rites. Sacred ground was prepared, altars were constructed, offerings were arranged, the fires were lit. And before the assembled priests and the waiting king, the ritual reached its climax. Then something extraordinary happened. From the sacred fire emerged a divine messenger. In his hands was a golden vessel containing a sacred preparation. Dasharatha received it with reverence. For a king who had spent years wondering what would become of his house, the vessel carried something more valuable than wealth. Hope. Dasharatha returned to his queens. The sacred preparation was shared among Kausalya, Sumitra, and Kaikeyi, with a further portion given to Sumitra. Then they waited. Seasons passed, and eventually the silence that had troubled the royal household for so long came to an end. Ayodhya celebrated. The king who had feared leaving behind no heir became the father of 4 sons. To Kausalya was born Rama, to Kaikeyi was born Bharata, and to Sumitra were born Lakshmana and Shatrughna. 4 children, 4 princes. Dasharatha looked upon his family and saw the future of his dynasty. His greatest fear appeared to be over. But beyond Ayodhya, the world was already moving toward a future none of them could yet see. Across the ocean, Ravana still ruled Lanka. Powerful, confident, protected against the beings he believed capable of destroying him. He had feared gods, he had feared celestial powers, he had considered the strongest beings of the worlds, but he had never feared a human being. And in a quiet chamber in Ayodhya, held safely in his mother's arms, a human child slept. No army surrounded him, no weapon rested in his hand, no crown marked his destiny. He was simply a newborn child, Rama. And with his birth, 2 stories that had begun far apart were now moving toward each other. One belonged to a king whose power had convinced him that ordinary men were beneath his concern. The other belonged to a child who had only begun his life. Years would pass before their paths crossed. Before that day came, Rama would have to grow. He would have to learn. He would have to leave the protection of Ayodhya. And the first person to lead him beyond the world he knew was already on his way. Years later, the royal court of Ayodhya would fall silent at the arrival of a sage. His name was Vishwamitra, and he had come to ask King Dasharatha for something the king would find almost impossible to surrender: his son, Rama. Next, Episode 2. The Sage Who Came for Rama.